Hello, you're most welcome to this video about Covent Garden. This is hopefully going to be a quick one, despite the fact that there is a lot of history to cover, as I hope to get something out between Christmas and New Year when I have a little bit more time to spend on these things. So, until London became the Anglo-Saxon trading town of Ludenwick, the area around Covent Garden, what we now know as Covent Garden, would simply have been empty fields. Since the 1980s, the dominant theory in the history of London and amongst historians who cover this area is that the area around Covent Garden then became central to Ludenwick, that being the Anglo-Saxon trading town, and the area between Trafalgar Square and Aldwych around the Strand was central to Ludenwick, that trading town. You know, much of the trading between ships visiting the Anglo-Saxon settlement at the time would have been conducted here. Beginning with Alfred the Great's tenure, the active settlement of London moved eastwards towards the old Roman Londinium as Alfred sought to refortify the city using the old Roman walls and fortifications. That area, which he then called, or became called under his reign, Londonburg, is more akin to what we know today as the City of London, and for more on that, see my video on Spitalfields, which was an important part of that area, or became an important part of that area. The settlement around the Strand and Covent Garden lapsed, and is thought to have returned to being fields, essentially. Meanwhile, the area became known as Ealdwick or Ealdwych, and that name continues to the modern day as Aldwych. Around the turn of the 13th century, a very important event in London's history occurred as the royal court settled in Westminster. Now, before then, kings had been crowned at Westminster, but the royal court itself was something of a movable feast and would have travelled around with the king, as he basically did not have a single fixed abode and moved from place to place around the British Isles, or in the case of Richard the Lionheart, which not long before this time barely lived in England at all. So at that point, this seismic shift in London's history occurred, and London began to have two dominant centres. So, as we spoke about previously, the city in the east became the financial and economic centre, whereas Westminster became the political and, if you want, cultural centre. So, why is the emergence of Westminster so important to the history of Covent Garden, you may ask? Well, as Westminster Palace became such an important political centre, so too Westminster Abbey grew in prominence, and it acquired these lands, such that around 1200 the pastures and meadows, which are now covered by Covent Garden, but at the time, as I say, had reverted to being largely fields and arable land, were referred to in a grant of that land as the Garden of the Covent and Abbey of Westminster. You can see at that point the emergence of the modern name. Covent, by the way, is Anglo-French word which is equivalent to convent. So by 1515 there is a grant of the land which refers specifically to a garden known as the Covent Garden, and so since then it has been known by that name. After Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries in the late 1530s, the parcel of land reverted to the crown. In 1552, Henry's son Edward VI gave the land to the Earl of Bedford, John Russell, who had been an advisor to his father. The wealthy and now aristocratic family kept the land until 1913, though during that time their use of the land changed drastically. Originally they maintained a large private manor there, though by 1630 part of the area had been rebuilt as several houses around a square or piazza. These were originally occupied by wealthy tenants, though the establishment of a market and various associated vices saw a decline in the character of the area, which soon became known for prostitution as well as market trading. The market building itself was put up in 1830, designed by Charles Fowler. Following the sale of the land in 1913, its use as a market became less and less viable, given congestion in the increasingly packed area. Eventually the freehold made its way back to the Covent Garden Authority, a governmental body, which took steps to modernise its use while retaining some of the historic character. In 1980 the market building reopened as a shopping centre, and it is then that it took on much of its modern guise. As you can see in this footage today, Covent Garden is a very busy, very vibrant area, and I would hazard a guess, never more so than at Christmas time, when, as you can see again in some of this video footage, it hosts a lovely Christmas market, and the spectacular Christmas decorations are certainly not to be missed if you are in the area. So I think that's about all I have to say, which makes a change for one of these videos. I have covered what I think is a very large amount of very interesting history quite quickly, I'm aware. So maybe one day I'll come back to this area to explore in further detail. But for now, I think that's about the size of it for a quick video meant primarily to show you how nice Covent Garden looks at Christmas and give you a brief background. So if you did enjoy this video, the footage, my explanations, any of it really, please do like the video, subscribe, comment if you're so inclined, and otherwise I'll see you probably now in the new year with more videos in this vein. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.